I'm Anam Paiseanta, and I wanted to come on this trip to the Richat Structure in Mauritania to find, number one mission, to find adventure. This place is mysterious. It's kind of unknown. The structure of it kind of suggests many things, and I thought it was important to lay my eyes on it firsthand as kind of a mission and also an excuse to have an adventure.
I'm Ezzy. Very similar. I actually didn't know much about this place from Mauritania when I decided to go. I just kind of wanted to have an adventure and travel around, started to do some more research on the way down here. And it began to pique my curiosity as well. So I wanted to come and see it with my own eyes and kind of figure a few things out.
What was the most incredible part of the journey here? Because we had to travel a long way. I don't think any of us realized how far Seville, Spain was from the Richat Structure, Guel Richat here in Mauritania. What stood out the most about this adventure in traveling from Seville to here?
What stood out the most? Like, what was the most unique experience? That you can be on trains and buses and boats and automobiles and vans and taxis and private cars this long and still just be in the north of Africa. I mean, I would have expected after this many hours of traveling to be to South Africa by now. So the distances here are amazing.
How about you?
Similar, just kind of the travel is crazy how large, like how long it takes to go from one place to another. And we're looking at the GPS and it's like, we've only moved that far. And just the people, you hear so many things before you go places. They tell you not to go. They tell you these people are this way, these people are that way. But what I've experienced, and especially on this trip, is that it's never like that. These people are just completely different than you hear on the news. Mm-hmm. Everybody's been kind. That's crazy. But I guess, some of the things that stood out, some of the long days we had in vehicles and some of the crazy places we had to stay. Mm-hmm. And that, I don't know, just kind of like a growing experience within all of it, just learning how to accept things as they are and just relax and enjoy the ride.
It gives you a lot of perspective. It seems that the people that, and I mean, it depends on what your definition of having the least is, but it seems like the people that have the least, at least compared to what you find in the West, tend to want to give the most and help the most. And some of the kindest people I've ever met in my life have been on this trip, willing to give the shirt off their backs, even if they don't have a shirt. It's absolutely unbelievable how you can walk down a street in Nouakchott or Nouadhibou or up north in Dakhla or Agadir or wherever, and people will reach out and help you one way or another, and they will not give up until the mission is accomplished. Watching one of our drivers, our tire went flat in the Sahara Desert, and one of our drivers ended up, he knew that there's a bit of fault that laid on him. There's a bit of fault that laid on us because we didn't leave in time and all that kind of stuff. And nonetheless, he probably lost money by the end of it and all the expenses, helping to pay for one of the hotels when we got stuck at the border because we couldn't get through, helping to pay for all these things, including another vehicle to go from Nouadhibou to Nouakchott. He was determined to get us to the destination and stick to his word, and he did. And it just goes to show you, just even if you cannot talk to people because you cannot translate, some of the most amazing people will step out of the line and do whatever they can to help you. I wanted to ask, what is your reaction to the Richat Structure here now that we are in the center of the Richat Structure?
I think that if I had 1 million people and vast riches, this would be a great place to build a civilization. I don't see any evidence of a 12,000 or a 5,000-year-old civilization here really at all. But I also don't know how far things would degrade in that amount of time. So could there have been certain structures here before, or even a vast civilization? I am not educated on the topic well enough to even start to theorize, but I know that the land formation itself is incredible, and it's amazing to be here. It feels like a special place. Yeah. Like in an intuitive way, I'm picking up that it's a special place on this planet. And if this, the Richat structure was on Mars and we were looking at it through the lens of a telescope, it would be something of great interest to us that we would want to explore once we got to that planet. So I'm happy to be here on this planet with all of you humans to see this amazing structure. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about how the government restricts ground-penetrating radar and stuff out here, so people cannot look without massive licenses and paying huge amounts of money. So that should be pointed out. It always seems that no matter where you go in the world, the number one thing that stands in your way tends to be the government. But but with that said, what stands out about this site to you after we went through all the rings and we're in the center of this massive structure today?
For me, man, it was just looking at the GPS as we were riding in the vehicle out here, and just every spot was exactly the way it was. You know, maybe that's a silly thing to notice, but for me, it's like, is it really the same way? And just, I was curious as to whether or not once we get out here, if we could see that the hills, you know, since it's a pretty big structure, see that it actually circles around. And from what I can see, it definitely looks like it does, and it's a spectacular place. It brings up so many questions, even beyond Atlantis. You know, what is it? Why is it here? If Atlantis was here and didn't build it, for example, then why is it created this way? Or if Atlantis never was here, again, why was it created this way? Like, how did this happen? People say a volcano, but maybe that, but still, it's a pretty spectacular thing for a volcano to make. Yeah. It seems a little perfect, you know what I mean? Especially from above, it's exactly an eye with an eyebrow. Even, you know, it's amazing. So
you can only imagine if looking at it from the sky. If anyone was able to do it long ago, it would have been a pretty sacred sight to behold. And one has to mention that there are no places in the known universe that we know of that look anything like this. There's some things that have some slight similarities that we found, circular structures on other planets as well as our own, but not like this. However, obviously, when you get to the ground, it isn't as clear. I mean, when you are on the ground, you see that it's a circular structure, but like the center island, it's bumpy and up and down and all that kind of stuff, and it just doesn't look like it does from the sky to the same degree. But nonetheless, it is a beautiful place. I am so happy that I came here, and I don't regret a moment, even if I had to sleep on another cockroach-infested bed and you had to sleep on a floor. And you know what? It all was worth it. The struggle of traveling and dealing with it was a travel nightmare, but it's going to be one of my fondest memories in the future, looking back. It's not as fun to live. It's much more fun to remember, but makes you want to go back again and again and again and keep trying. But I think it's going to be important that I come back here. This is definitely a special place. And just looking at the blue rocks, the magma stone, if this was a volcano, it would have been one of the biggest volcanoes you could ever imagine. Truly. I mean, it's huge. I mean, think of that. What is it, 48 kilometers altogether, like from the outside of the rings and the first part of the structure to the other, 23.5 through the main rings. But 50 kilometers, almost 25, 27 miles or something like that. That's crazy. Have you ever heard of a volcano that big? I mean, it's incredible. So if it's a collapsed volcano, it was a super volcano or something like that, because it is unbelievably large. So I guess wrapping it up, will you guys ever do anything like this again?
Oh, absolutely, man. I live for this, I think.
Adventure, thunder on.
All right, Voluntaryist Brotherhood.
Yeah, sure. So Voluntaryist Brotherhood is a motorcycle club that we started a little over a year ago, and we've got a number of members now, and it's for people who want a family, an agorist network, a business, and a defensive militia. We ride motorcycles. There's some kind of bond that happens between men and motorcycles and also men and anarchy. And we are, as to our knowledge, the only exclusively anarchist motorcycle club, voluntarist motorcycle club in the world. And if you are into freedom and motorcycles, you should contact us.
How did you find the club?
Well, for me, I was at a point in my life where I was looking for a way to be a part of some sort of group or family, tribe, you can call it, that would allow me to freely raise a family and be a part of a family, of course, beyond what my kids would be to me. But where I can raise them free from a number, free from, indoctrinations in school and vaccines and all kinds of nonsense that they want to pump into you against your will, more and more so these days. And a place to belong, and a place that I can have brothers that I know will be willing to protect that freedom just as much as I would be. And I also know them very well, and that I know their abilities and they know mine. So really just a family to be a part of. And I found it through my brother. And at that time, that was when they, shortly after they founded it. And I was like, that's it, man. That's what I'm looking for. So that's how I found it. It was a little bit off your question there for a second, yeah. But no, definitely that's where it came from. My brother was one that showed me, which is oddly enough, real family did show me another family. So now they're all my brothers.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, as we are so heavily demonetized and shadow banned to a crazy extent. We have lost about 80% of our reach since the beginning of this year as they rip away subscribers, etc. It has gotten out of control, and it's becoming more and more difficult to stay alive here on World Alternative Media, bringing you guys free content every day. You can also check our Bitcoin address in the description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out on all these other alternatives like Subscribestar, where we are doing subscriber only content for people at the $4.99 US a month tier and up. We really appreciate it. You could tip us on there and pledge anything, but from $4.99 and up, we are giving people subscriber only content that you won't find here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, there are so many alternatives for YouTube these days, including BitChute, which we are on at World Alternative Media, as well as, of course, the new flote.app, flote.app, where they are truly replacing all of these social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and of course, Twitch and Patreon, all in one place, and it is truly incredible what they are doing. We are moving over there in mass, as well as BitChute, BitTube, STEEMIT at Josh Sigurdson, all those other places, as well as PocketNet. We are on as well at World Alternative Media. There's so many options today, and we're trying to get into as many of them as possible because we need to back ourselves up. We are winning this information war, but we are getting to a point where they are cracking down more desperately than ever, and we got to do whatever we can to stay alive, as it's getting more and more difficult all the time. We also have events coming up, including Anarchadelphia 2019, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in September. Check out thestateofanarchy.com and anarchadelphia.com. Linked below, use promo code WAM, W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to this amazing conference as anarchy is going viral. Also, make sure to check out the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October. Also, use promo code WAM, another great event with amazing speakers, and of course, Anarchapulco, the one and only, in February 2020, which you can also use promo code WAM for WAM and save 10%. There's so many things that you can do to help independent media, including just pressing like, sharing, clicking the notification button, doing whatever you can to help keep this free information alive that's alternative to the mainstream. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.